Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast is now on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast and click that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is the one that loves to be nice and warm and cozy, is good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
I'm waiting on that cold snap. This weather is ridiculous. Warm and cozy in the winter, yes. Early August, no.
Well, the weather that we're having just can't make up its damn mind. So I don't know what kind of world we're living in right now, Doug.
It's that global warming, you know.
Yeah. But we have a great episode that we're getting ready to go over. We're actually getting ready to record 2 episodes, but that's a peek behind the curtain right there. So how are you doing, Doug? This is the first of the 2 that we're about to record, so which means that we have a little bit of a chit-chat that we can do for a few.
I mean, we don't have to chit-chat considering we've already been knocking around for an hour. So
True. But how are you doing?
I'm fine.
This is 10 o'clock in the evening, Doug, knowing that he's not going to be done recording until probably a little after midnight tonight, everybody. So this is Doug just not happy right now.
Well, not happy, just I know we've got, 2 hours ahead of us. We got shit to do.
All right. Well, I'm sure we'll end up getting into some type of conversation, but today's episode is episode 3 of season 14, episode 662. And this episode is called A Sandile Gusher of Change, or translated from Japanese, Mijumaru, Meguroco, critical moment.
Wow.
Well, it's basically the same thing that we got here. I mean, because both titles are pretty clunky.
Yeah, you got that right.
Mijumaru, Meguroco, critical moment, or A Sandile Gusher of Change.
I'm going to take the English translation, but it's not like
it's not like it's hitting it out of the park.
It's like you want to get punched in the throat or kicked in the nuts. It's
So, all right. But today's episode is the reason that I said Doug likes to be nice and cozy because we have some hot springs in this episode, Doug.
Yes.
And a very, very, very dumb Ash in the middle of the episode. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking, but fucking ran into the middle.
I'm telling you, I told you this episode fell off about halfway through.
The writers were just like, let's give a 10-year-old 4th degree burns. Like, what the hell? But all right. But this episode premiered in Japan on September 30th, 2010, and here in the States premiered February 19th, 2011. And Dougie, my man, I was told that you are going first this week when it comes to our historical dates. What is your historical date this week?
Yes. Well, so
I was about to say this year.
one episode this year. On February 19th, 1945, the U.S. 5th Infantry launches an invasion of Iwo Jima.
Iwo
Jima.
Okay, Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima.
All right.
And 30,000 troops storm the island. This is the attack where we get that infamous photo of the Marines raising the flag. I'm not talking specifically on that because I could, but that happens in a couple days.
Save that for a different one.
I could say that for a different one, depending on how things shake out. So if that does happen, we'll just pretend that I didn't say anything. This was one of the crucial moments in WW2. Pardon me, a swinging point, as it were.
Okay. Well, good shit. All right. Well, mine is not really that historical. Mine's a birthday. Ready to sing happy birthday, Doug?
No.
Well, American comedian and actor Andy Samberg was born on this day. And he's done quite a few things. You might know him well from SNL. Brooklyn. What was that show called? Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine just recently started its final season last week.
Oh, look at that. You knew that. I didn't even know that. But yeah, it's his birthday. People might kind of call it a cop-out, but February 19th is kind of a dry day in modern history. Me and Doug both had a little bit of a hard time finding out anything, and you won't believe how old Andy Samberg is, Doug.
Well, I mean, I will because I know.
Well, yeah, because I told you right before. Kayfabe, man.
I'm a
Didn't you just watch the movie or the TV show Heels? Kayfabe, man. Kayfabe.
Yeah, well, shut up or I'll break your arm.
But good old Andy Samberg, you wouldn't know it by looking at him, but he is a whopping 43 years old. So, born in 1978. So,
blew my mind when you said that.
I know. I blew my own mind. I'm sitting here. I'm like, this boy don't look no 43 years old. Get that special type of lotion that he got. I have no idea.
What's that Hollywood reserve that we're not privy to as regular people?
I know, for real. So, all right. Dougie, my man, are you ready?
Born ready.
No, I said, are you ready?
Yeah, we're not doing that.
No,
we're not doing that.
It's too late for that.
It's too late for that.
But make sure you stand by for the end of this episode, everybody, because as you can hear right here, I have a Chilling Reigns Pokemon pack that I will be opening at the end of this episode, and I feel like it's a little bit of a heavy one, so hopefully we get a nice holo out of this. But all right, let's go ahead and dive into this week's episode, Doug.
Yes.
All righty. So we start this week's episode with the narrator basically talking about Ash and Iris, and they literally start the episode just bickering back and forth as to who's following who. Because Ash is looking at her. He's like, "Well, why are you still following me?" And she's like, "It is you that's following me." And I'm like, "Oh, geez, here we go." And they literally are going back and forth, and then we have a scene moment where the animation is them like getting ahead of each other. So one walks in front of the other, and then the other one walks in front of the other, and they're basically going like back and forth, Doug, to start this episode off.
Yeah, like the first freaking 45 seconds was them basically having a race until she basically cuts him off.
For real.
I was waiting for her to trip her, to be honest with you, or for her to trip him.
And how does she keep her hair like this? Like, she has no backpack, no nothing, and like just little Aksu inside of her hair, which has to be messing up all sorts of things in her hair, unless Aksu is keeping her hair looking all sorts of purty. But how does she keep her hair like this in the forest?
It could be like the secret oils of Aksu. Like Aksu could give off like certain oils that just happen to interact with human hair just the right way.
That only people with long hair like Iris can find out.
Yeah.
All right. So she cuts Ash off and blatantly tells him, she admits that she's following him, but she's like, well, since you're new to town, I figured I'd give you a hand and help you learn about the Unova region. Like, you don't know where you're going. I feel like I can be your map. So basically, she wants to be the Brock to Ash.
Which is a fair point if the Pokédex wasn't as advanced as it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a freaking cell phone. So, I mean, you're telling me he can't look at his Pokédex and find out exactly where he's going?
And, you know, if all else fails, he has a Pidove that could kind of do a little bit of navigation.
Yeah, just fly up into the air. Do you see the trail? Yes. Okay, lead me.
And yeah, so, I mean, it's a nice sentiment, but it's kind of unnecessary.
And then off into the distance on the trail right beside them, I guess that sentence didn't really make too much sense. Right next to them, as they're arguing back and forth, as Ash is like, well, I didn't ask you to be my navigator. You didn't ask to follow me, blah, blah, blah. There's Ashua.
Yeah, he's just standing there. I got the impression that he was there the whole time, and the camera just chose not to, pan down to see him. And yeah, he's standing there, and then we get the credits.
Yeah.
Which
and then,
I'm still not a fan of.
You don't like the song yet? I think you'll be a lover of this song by the time you watch enough of these episodes.
I wouldn't put good money on that.
No, you don't like soft Pokemon music, Doug?
No, you got to get me hyped. I'm okay with it not being at the beginning of the episode, but you got to get me into it.
Oh, I mean, you have Zekrom and what is the other one, the white one? It is that You're gonna get me in trouble, Doug.
I didn't say anything.
You repeated it. What do you mean you didn't say anything?
I was just making sure the people heard you.
He said the white one, everybody. White one. Let's see. Part of the Unova region. I have it on Pokemon Go. So this is what's kind of helping me here. So you have Reshiram, and you have Zekrom. So Reshiram is the white one, which looks like it's pretty fucking badass, and it is. Even though I don't use it in Pokemon Go, but I do love the badass black Zekrom. So, just saying.
Yeah, but like, I don't really care who's in the opening. Like, if that opening, because I mean that's the thing about the opening of the original. So like, just from that first couple of chords, you're like, okay, let's fucking go. With this, it's a nice song, but it doesn't get me excited to watch Pokemon.
I want to be the very best. Yeah, it doesn't have that same feeling. Yeah, you're right.
Kind of puts me in a, not drowsy, but kind of puts me in a bit of a softer mood.
In a softer mood, Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So we go straight from the title screen over to, God, I can't get that image out of my head.
Oh, grow up. Grow the fuck up.
To the title screen, a Sandile Gusher of Change. And to start everything off, you have Oshawott jumping up and down for joy. He's jumping up and down, and he's walking over to Ash, and freaking Iris out of nowhere just freaking grabs Oshawott. Well, first, Ash remembers this Oshawott from helping him defeat Team Rocket, but then Iris freaking goes and grabs him, and it's like, "I want you to be my Pokemon. I want to capture you. I'm the best trainer for you. Obviously, you want to be with me." And Oshawott just jumps out of her freaking arms and is like, "Hell no! I've been following Ash. I don't want to be your trainer.
I want to go with the kid with the hat." I mean, to be fair, she's sitting there, she's poking his cheeks, and she like, like you said, she just scooped him up in her arms, and shouldn't she know? But I mean, she did the same thing with Pikachu when she first met Pikachu, and she got shocked. I mean, there's such a thing as personal space here. Come on now.
Real. So, it's just funny because Pikachu just had no fucking chill. So Oshawott breaks out of Iris's arms, says, "Hell no," jumps over to Ash and climbs up Ash's shoulder and freaking picks up Pikachu and just goes, "Kick." And fucking kicks Pikachu off of Ash.
I believe that's what the kids would say these days. Pikachu got yeeted.
Is that what they're doing with their arms? Where they take their two index fingers and they put it on like they're checking their pulse? Is that what that's called?
No, that's she.
Yeah, I still don't understand that. She. Yeah, I don't get it.
I think that's like, how kids say, like, when something's funny these days, kids say, these days, fuck, I'm old. Fuck. I don't want to do the show anymore. Kids will say, like, "Oh, I'm dead." Like, when something's funny, they'll say, "I'm dead."
Yeah.
I think doing the check of the pulse and doing the she, I think that's like the act out of "I'm dead."
Oh, get the fuck. I mean, I guess, but I mean, I'm sure we were just as bad when we were growing up.
Oh, I bet we were worse.
No, we actually made fucking sense. We actually said things like, "I'm dead." Ha 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 ha. Not fucking checking my pulse and going, "See." Like I'm a lot of listeners are probably, they're like, "Man, these guys are old. We're gonna stop listening to them." Don't act like that's not fucking funny, especially the older adults. They're probably cracking up with their children in the back seat right now, just going, "See, I told you that thing was fucking stupid."
Yeah, but I want one kid in the back going, "He's right though."
So, all right. Let's get back on topic. So Oshawott throws Pikachu off of Ash, and Pikachu just had no chill. Oshawott is a fucking ass, so he jumps up, pushes Pikachu off, and then hops off of Ash. Like, what the fuck was the point of throwing Pikachu off besides being a dick?
Yeah, if you were just going to immediately get down. And then Pikachu's pissed off, so it throws a thunder attack. I mean, it's not specified. And, Oshawott takes off its little shell, which we learned from Dexter can be removed. And, I mean, obviously we saw last week because that's how he brought down Team Rocket's balloon. And just blocks the thunder into Ash's fist. So Ash has no luck whatsoever.
You see, they missed the opportunity of Oshawott deflecting that into Iris and having her hair just be all big and fried. Just
yes.
They missed the opportunity. Like, Ash should not have gotten blasted by this thunder attack.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
But Iris enjoyed the fact that Ash got shocked by Pikachu, and her and Axu just starts laughing up a storm. And Ash is like, Oshawott, what was that for? And it's at this moment that Oshawott and Ash have a little bit of a moment, and Iris is like, I think Oshawott wants you to be its trainer.
And, Ash kind of is like, oh, is that really what you want? And Oshawott, it's got the tears of joy, and it's kind of got an excited face. So Ash takes his backpack off and grabs a Pokeball and, turns his hat backwards because, that's how you know it's serious.
Oh, and he's in serious mode now.
He throws the Pokeball, and it just bonks off of poor Oshawott's head.
I felt so bad for Oshawott. I'm like, oh my God. But Oshawott, I mean, well, he is a baby. I mean, technically the baby version. So he doesn't know. He thinks he can just go into any Pokeball. So he's ready. He's just looking at this ball, and the ball just goes bonk. And Oshawott's like, ow.
And Ash is like, that's never happened before. And so at that point, I think we all kind of come to a collective aha moment. I mean, obviously, as a viewer, the last couple episodes, we know that this is the Oshawott from Professor Juniper's lab, yes. A.k.a. one of the 3 starter Pokemon that Trip could have
taken, but he
could have, right.
Freaking broke. I want to see Trip face this Oshawott with his Snivy and just have Oshawott just obliterate his Snivy and have him go, man, I should have picked Oshawott at this point.
What's the 1v1 in terms of grass versus water?
Let's see. When it comes to super effective, grass beats water. So water beats fire for the starter Pokemon. Fire beats grass. And then grass beats water. So, and one thing that I found out in Pokemon games, and this is probably going to blow your mind if you didn't know this, but no matter what Pokemon you choose, your partner chooses the opposite Pokemon. So basically, you should be able to. So if you choose Charmander, he's going to choose Squirtle. If you choose Bulbasaur, he's going to choose Squirtle. So he chooses the weaker Pokemon of the two when you're actually choosing Pokemon. And I'd have to actually go back and play Black and White because I got halfway through Black and White and then I kind of fell off it. And then I started playing Pokemon Sun. But I believe they still do that to this day in the video games.
I did not know that, but it kind of makes sense because that's like your first battle, isn't it?
Yep.
And you know, you don't want to start the game on a loss necessarily.
Which you can, but I mean, they make it really hard. I've actually played Pokemon Red and Blue to try to lose my first battle, but your opponent growls you to death. Just and then he's like, dude, just fucking hit me with tackle. Just beat me. but you can lose that battle, and then Gary will sit there and rub it in your face if you lose that battle.
Well, as he should.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to throw it for you.
And he'll say, smell you later, which I never did get that whole smell you later bit. But that was his line in the game. So.
Yeah, I never understood that. I mean, obviously, as a Simpsons fan, I know that's Nelson Muntz, but I probably didn't know that in '98.
No. So.
Or whenever the first game came out. So, yeah, we come to the realization that this is the the Oshawott that came from Juniper's lab. So then Ash is like, oh, Oshawott's Pokeball has to be back at the lab. So I thought that was going to be the episode. I thought the episode was they got to turn back and they're going to run into some shit on the... No, we're just going to get her on the phone at the Pokemon Center.
Yeah, okay. And I have a problem with this moment, okay? And you're probably not thinking of it right now, but you're going to think about it as soon as I say it. So they're at the Pokemon Center, right? And they're talking to Professor. Her name just wants to come out as Dr. Juniper to me. I don't know why, but to Professor Juniper. Is it Ash's Pokedex a cell phone?
Yes.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Why didn't Ash just call her on the Pokedex? Oh,
remember.
Well, he does have to be at a Pokemon Center to get the Pokeball sent over because you can't send it remotely through the Pokedex. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's a very fair point.
That's a very fair point. So okay. So as he's talking to her, Dr. Juniper's like, "Oh, I wondered where
you did it again."
Whatever. Let's play a drinking game. How many times I call Professor Juniper Dr. Juniper. But Professor Juniper sits here and she says that she'll send Ash over the Pokeball because she was wondering where Oshawott went, and she's been looking all over and none of the Pokemon have seen him. But she's glad that he's okay and that all he was doing was following Ash. Doug?
Not that concerned. If all she was doing was... She could have called him.
No, not really. I mean, she didn't know where she for all she knew, Oshawott ran away.
Well, I just don't think she did as much as she could have done. And, I mean, for goodness sakes, it's a starter Pokemon. It's not very strong at the moment. Something horrible could have happened.
Something very horrible could have happened. So we go from this, and Professor Juniper sits there and says that Oshawott likes to travel out and wander off on its own, and to keep a close eye on Mr. Oshawott.
Oh boy!
And as soon as she says that, Ash and Iris are looking around. They're like, where the fuck is Oshawott? He's not here anymore. So they're running out of the... is that a Pokemon Center or is that a Pokemart?
It honestly looks like a Pokemart.
Yeah,
I'm at a screenshot of them. They're about to fall in this hole, and it honestly looks like a mart.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. So Oshawott is nowhere to be seen, and they're running out. And Iris calls Ash a kid again. Just
I hate it.
just pissing Ash off to death because he can't keep track of his own Pokemon.
And it's not his yet.
No. Well, technically it is.
It's not.
He
is not in the ball.
True.
Ash has his Pokeball.
Ash doesn't have to deal with this. Ash looks at Iris and is like, I don't need to put up with this. I'm just going to start walking away. And Iris sits there and gets all baffled that he's walking away. Wait a minute, wait for me. And I blame her for them falling into this damn hole. Ash was on top of this hole and didn't fall in, but it wasn't until Iris's weight got on that hole that that they both fell in. I completely blame Iris for this one. So, Doug, you want to take over this next part?
Yeah. So they've fallen in the hole, and pardon me. They're looking up. They're in a heap, and they say, who could have done this? Yeah, I was waiting to see if they said what kind of Pokemon. And then all of a sudden, from above, you hear a little voice go, Sandile!
And they both look up, because in everyone's mind, who are you thinking built this manhole? You think it's Team Rocket.
Yes.
But they completely tossed that out in this episode, and they're like, nah, it was Sandile. Sandile did it. And this nice little boy is looking into the hole where Iris and Ash are laying. And then we get an awkwardly close-up look of this boy's face before he apparently pulls them out. But then after that, we go straight over to Team Rocket running in these horrible disguises. Like, what were they, bless you, what were they thinking wearing these disguises?
Well, they're not very bright.
Well, obviously.
So they say, disguises. Hats and coats and sunglasses. Disguise.
And they fall into a hole as well, but they don't crash into the hole. I mean, obviously, Team Rocket blasts off in almost 99% of the episodes, so they know how to land. And they freaking land full-blown Matrix style on the ground, just boom.
To quote Jim Ross, how the hell do you learn how to fall off a 20-foot ladder?
Well, apparently by blasting off in 99% of the episodes.
Yeah.
But Team Rocket, full blown, just lands perfectly fine inside of this hole. And this hole must be big, because it's big enough for them to stand up, look around, and walk in.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not standing shoulder to shoulder. There's definitely some room to operate. And then they're confronted by a Sandile.
Yes.
With sunglasses.
With sunglasses. I thought that was pretty weird. I had to take a second look, because for a second I thought James might have been wearing those sunglasses and he fell in and the sunglasses fell on top of Sandile. No.
That would have been funnier.
It would have been funnier, but no, Sandile just, this leader of the pack is wearing sunglasses for some odd reason, and it's never fucking explained.
No, I mean, honestly, for a second, when I was watching the episode, I thought that was part of the design of, I just thought that was Sandile. I was like, it's got markings on its face that look like sunglasses. And no, those are sunglasses.
Yes, it's kind of like Squirtle and the Squirtle Squad. Like, Squirtle just randomly has these pair of sunglasses and he keeps it inside of his shell.
But to your point, at least the Squirtle Squad is explained.
Yes.
The roving gang of Sandile that we're about to meet is never explained.
No, not at all. So... But yeah, Ash pulls out his. We go back to Ash getting pulled out of the little sand trap, the little pit, and he pulls out his good old Dexter, and is like, "What is a Sandile?" And we're told that Sandile is a crocodile Pokemon and has big black round eyes, which protects it from the sun. So his eyes already protect it from the sun. What the hell does this other Sandile need sunglasses for, man?
Style.
Apparently. Oh,
yeah.
and it protects it from the sand from getting into its eyes too.
Which, fair point, because we're about to see, obviously they can dig tunnels, and we're about to see that they don't mind spending time buried a little bit.
Yes. But this child, who we end up finding out is the son of the hot springs owner of the city that they're in. He's basically down there just wandering about. He knows about the Sandile, and he goes into this deep story about how they had to close their springs because all these Sandile have basically invaded all of the spring areas and all of the town, and basically makes it impossible for anyone to enjoy the hot springs up there. Doug?
Yeah, and we see a bit of a flashback where a couple are hunkering down to enjoy a sand bath, and as they're getting all relaxed, we see a Sandile, apparently the Sandile that was in the hole with Team Rocket via the sunglasses,
Yes.
popping up, and the owner's just like, oh, that's just a wild Sandile. He's not going to bother you. He just likes the warmth of the sun as well. But then they just start popping up everywhere. And, obviously these two humans in particular don't have sunglasses, which I would argue is just poor planning on their part.
Well, yeah. Well, they're in the middle of getting a sand bath. Like, who the hell needs sunglasses while they're getting a sand bath?
The sun's out.
I mean, I get that, but they're not looking directly up at the freaking sun. They're closing their eyes and they're laying on a pillow.
But they're completely hemmed in. It's not like they can be reading a book.
So, Doug, if you go and you get a sand bath, you're bringing sunglasses with you?
If I'm outside, yes.
Okay. All right. Fair point. But this Sandile just starts digging a hole right next to this couple. Okay. Now me and you know like this episode enough to where we know what happens at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is this Sandile with the sunglasses for any particular reason a freaking dick for blowing the sand all over these humans?
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, because
he had no reason to.
No, he wasn't like, oh, you built the hot springs on my land, or and my herd of friends. We don't have room to operate now. He was just he's like, I'm just a cool guy. I've just got sunglasses, and the sand is my land, and fuck you.
Exactly. So from this montage, we see I would say about 20 of these Sandile dig holes underneath ground, scare off that couple, and dig holes where the hot spring was, basically draining out the hot spring, draining out anything. They collapsed a couple trees that were over nearby by digging and obliterating the trees that were nearby, basically destroying the land.
Oh, completely. Just wrecking shop, and Ash and Iris are kind of in the same boat that we're in. Iris is like, I don't understand, Sandile's motivation, and the kids basically like, ditto. I'm also sitting here with my thumb up my butt,
And I get the whole ending to this episode, but there's nothing to explain why the Sandile are completely obliterating it down the mountain where they are right now. I mean, we're watching this again right now. We're probably getting yelled at by Jimmy, who's sitting there listening to this podcast going, well, they did it because of this. But we're going to get there, and then we're going to circle back at the end of this podcast and see if there was a reason for them to have done this.
And I don't believe that there is.
I don't either.
I watched the episode.
So, but Ash and Pikachu look and they say, okay, this looks like this needs some investigating. So it's time to investigate. So what does Ash do? Ash jumps in with Pikachu and starts sandbathing.
Just makes himself completely comfortable and gets him and Pikachu buried in like 5 seconds.
Yes.
And, Iris is like...
Wouldn't you do the same, Doug?
I don't know if I would have been so ballsy to just say, oh, this is a perfect time as any to just strip down to my skivvies and just dive into the sand here.
Hey, I mean, when you're 10 years old, you don't care who sees you naked.
I would like to think that I had a little bit of modesty at 10. I mean, I'm not going to speak for you, and I'm not going to tell you how to live your life.
I was about to say, you should see my son. My son, this is beside the point, but my son the other day was walking around the house, and he was in a t-shirt with one of his nice new sweatpants on, and we're supposed to have someone come over to the house, and when we were told that they weren't coming over anymore, he looked at me. He's like, "Can I take these sweatpants off?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Can I take these sweatpants off?" He's like, "I feel so confined." So, and I looked at him and I was like, "I don't care." And he took off his sweatpants and he's walking around in his boxers. And then he gets into this mode where he had, anytime he plays with his toys, he likes to call it making movies. So he makes movies, but he only grabs one action figure, and he will sit here and he will reenact all these different scenes with this one action figure. Like, this action figure can fly, he can do this, he can do that. He's blowing stuff up, he's wrestling, he's doing all of this in his imagination. And if I was outside of my house looking through my window, all I'm seeing is my son looking like he's dancing in his boxers in the living room / kitchen area.
Hey, he is in his own house. He is living his best life.
He was definitely living his best life. Probably embarrassing him. Wait until I play this clip back to him one day.
Right.
But all right, back on topic. So
oh shit, that was too smooth. You want to go or you want me to go? Damn.
That was too smooth for the good old Doug, man. Axu goes and burrows underneath the ground and plops up and is right next to Pikachu sandbathing as well. And Iris is not a fan of this. She's like, "You're a part of this too?" Ugh. Yeah,
because she was going on this whole big point about how Ash was being selfish because all he cares about is getting in the sand and relaxing, and then her best friend is like right next to Pikachu, and she's like, "Son of a, I'm completely outnumbered here."
So it's at this point that we flash back over to Team Rocket. Team Rocket just seems like they're just a bother in this episode. I don't know why, but we could have dealt without Team Rocket in this episode.
Yeah, they were a complete afterthought here because, pardon me, they're out of the hole and they're spying on the resort.
Yes.
And they are being pestered by Sandile, the fuck me.
The Sandile with sunglasses.
Him.
The leader.
Right. Well, of what we don't know, but the leader.
Yes.
And they're doing the whole get out of here, scram, what are you doing? You're bothering us. And, you know, poor old Sandile, he's got some friends. So he says, well, fine. Because they're like, oh, you're blowing up our spot, basically. And he's like, oh, watch this. And he digs underground and he starts heading towards the resort. And then we're back with the Ash and the gang.
Yes. And it's at this point, Ash is looking up, and there's cute little old Oshawott just laying there in the damn sand, minding his own business, just in his own world, living his best life, as you just said, right?
And should this not be a thing? Because Oshawott is a water Pokemon that can presumably, I'm taking a guess in this generation, can probably use some type of ice attacks. And
possibly. Yes. Well, I have a problem with a little bit later on too. I was wondering if that was an ice attack or not, but we'll get into that in just a bit.
So it's a perceivably cold Pokemon in hot sand. I don't know. I feel like every time Oshawott tried to cover itself, I feel like the sand should have
burned it.
Yeah.
But okay. And that's the like mindset in this episode. So this episode's kind of everywhere if you guys can't tell already. So when Ash went to go sandbathe, he completely forgot about Oshawott. He completely didn't even think about going to find him or anything. He was just like, Oshawott will find us. And then he looks up and then there he is right there, just sandbathe him.
So I would have turned around to Iris and gone, see, I was on it.
Exactly. This whole time, right there. So, but that's when we go to the Who's That Pokemon this week. And they actually get it right for an episode, Doug.
I was doing backflips. I was doing backflips. I was like, let this be Sandile. And it was. And I was like, hot damn. Hot damn. Let's go.
I knew you were doing backflips because you hate it when they do an episode ahead. You hate it.
Because there's no point to it.
No,
just do that one then and just keep that go. But anyway, I'm not going to get on that hill again. So we come back from that, and the Sandile is confronting Ash, and then the little kid's like, well, that's clearly the leader. He doesn't mention the sunglasses, but he's like, that's clearly the leader. That's the guy that's been leading the charge and messing everything up.
Yep. And freaking Sandile goes in and just freaking crunches down on Axu. I felt so bad for Axu. What the fuck did Axu do?
Axu did absolutely nothing. Axu was trying to get in some rays with Pikachu. Axu wasn't even I can understand if he took, Oshawott. Because Oshawott's, probably the lowest level standing there.
And here goes Reckless Ash telling Pikachu to use Thunder Shock on Sandile, forgetting that Axu is in Sandile's mouth. And Iris is like, wait a minute, no, don't do that. You're going to hurt Axu if you shock it. But
Pikachu's a Pokemon, right?
Yes.
Axu is a Pokemon, right?
Yes.
Pokemon, Jesus Christ. Pokemon are meant to be hurt, right? I mean, theoretically, they're made to battle.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's going to get a little banged up, but you could take it to a center,
kill it.
And to be completely fair,
I mean, it's not like he told Oshawott to go and water gun it and, murder both of them. Right.
But to be completely fair, Axu wouldn't be in this problem if he was in a goddamn Pokeball.
We're going to play that game?
I mean, why not? We had this whole debate about Pikachu in the first episode of this show.
That's true. But
And I mean, look, I've only watched up through the first 4 episodes, so maybe it's explained in like episode 10 or something why Axu's not in a Pokeball, and maybe I'm just not there yet, and maybe little Jimmy's
it's
going.
a wild Axu.
It's not a wild Axu.
Does she ever call it back into a Pokeball?
Well, does Ash ever call Pikachu into a Pokeball?
Touche.
Aha.
So it's at this point Iris tells Ash to back off. She jumps in at this Sandile and just starts basically manhandling the Sandile to get her Axu back.
She is me, and Sandile is Levi when I'm trying to get one of his toys. Swear to God.
So this is how it goes, Doug.
Give me it. No. Okay. I quit because he doesn't give a shit. He'll bite you. He'll be upset about it, but he'll bite you.
And she can't get Axu out, so Ash runs over and Oshawott runs over, and then Pikachu runs over, and they're sitting there trying to get Axu out of Sandile's mouth as Sandile's just being a dick, and then Pikachu's ears go, "What's up?"
Oshawott is straight up pulling Axu's head, and you can see Axu going, "Ow!"
Just the funniest clip. People go back and watch this episode wherever you can find it. But freaking Pikachu's one of Pikachu's ears ends up flying up Sandile's mouth, and Sandile don't like that because it's tickling the inside of its nose. So what does Sandile do? Sandile lets go of Axu and goes, "All right, motherfuckers," and just goes and grabs both Oshawott by his foot and Pikachu by his hand and just starts taking off.
And then, pardon me, starts taking off the opposite direction. And then we're on a shot of Sandile's feet, and Sandile starts levitating off the ground. So you're going, all right, which one of Pikachu or Oshawott knows some kind of psychic attack?
Where the hell did Team Rocket, how did they not see Team Rocket in this big old bulldozer type thing getting ready to pick up Sandile? I just want to know.
How did we not hear them?
Exactly. The most quietest machine ever. I want it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Be doing yard work in my yard all night. Nobody will say anything.
Exactly. So
is this the new motto?
Yeah, it must be. And at some point, I'm going to have to sit down and actually learn it. But yeah,
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. It's the new motto. They try switching things up. I can tell you at least because I'm only a season and a half behind Black and White, like watching these episodes personally. And from what I'm watching in Diamond and Pearl, those seasons, they're still doing the regular model. So this is completely different this season. So my mind's just blown.
Yeah, I don't like it. I can tell you that much. So I'm this season's not starting out too hot in the little things department. Don't like the song, don't like the model. Decent episodes so far.
I was about to say decent episodes, but I mean Team Rocket even has a new R logo that they're hot-shotting in every single motto.
I don't hate the R logo. It's the same. It's the standard logo on their uniforms, but it's a different logo, like in their song effect or whatever.
Yes. So they go through their motto, and we find out that this thing is not it's basically a magnet that's picking up Sandile.
Yes.
And it's not a gripping thing, but it's grabbed onto Sandile's back, and Sandile, to his favor, just does not let go of Oshawott or Pikachu. Just continues to hold them.
Yeah,
this whole time.
You could give him a little bit of brownie points because you could say, well, if he lets go of Pikachu and Oshawott, Oshawott, they could get hurt.
I mean, maybe.
Well, they're going to land on sand, so maybe they wouldn't. So I don't know. I was going to give him credit, and then as you kind of stretch it out, you're like, it's just sand, though.
Yeah, but we go to Team Rocket going up this big old hill, and
well, freaking Meowth, yeah, they're going up this rocky terrain, but before they do that, Meowth's throwing smoke bombs.
yes, straight up grenades, smoke bombs to get out of there. And we find out this tractor thing is not so quiet when it's going up this hill. So how did Ash and them not hear it? Just saying.
It must have been the sand effect.
It must have.
But I feel like also the sand would have gummed up the works.
Exactly.
So I don't know anymore.
But they're going up this rocky terrain, and out of nowhere, their tractor seems to fall forward a little bit. And then they're like, oh, well, that was weird. And then they look all around them, and there's a bunch of Sandile just surrounding them before Ash, Iris, and the Springs owner's son run up and see Team Rocket. Where is the Springs owner, by the way?
What'd you say? Where is the Springs?
The Springs owner. Like, the son, Ash, and Iris are the ones battling Team Rocket. Where's his dad? This boy's dad.
Trolling for chicks? I don't know.
Apparently. I just think this episode is just so weird. Like when we actually break it down, like I was watching this, and yeah, you were right. It kind of falls off a cliff at one point with just a bunch of random moments. But this episode, just when you break it down bit by bit, does not make sense. People are probably listening to this and like, what the hell is going on in this episode? Literally what we're telling you, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, go find it if you don't. I mean, if you're not convinced by our breakdowns now, I don't know what to tell you. We've been doing this for over a year. I mean, we're not making up lies to entertain ourselves.
No. So we go back over to Team Rocket, and we find out Team Rocket is stuck. One of their tires is stuck in a little hole, and a bunch of these Sandiles are coming in, and they're forming around this little magnet tractor machinery thingy.
And they start digging, and the piece of machinery gets completely submerged in a hole.
Yes.
And Team Rocket has to basically jump out, and apparently the machine is broke because Sandile is able to release itself from the magnet. So I don't know.
Did they ever say how it was holding up Sandile? Does he have something like a plate or something in his back or something?
I mean, he has to, right? I mean, otherwise there's some kind of metal in the sunglasses. I mean, I don't think that would be the case, because those would be some heavy ass sunglasses.
Yeah, because they never explained that. How did this matter? Unless it's a suction thing.
And it could be a suction thing, but I feel like he would still be stuck.
Yeah.
If it was suction, like I feel like the machine got turned off, which is why Sandile was able to disengage from the crane. So I don't know.
You're throwing your hands up too. All right, everybody. All right. So, as we stated, the machine is now underground. It's broken. The leader Sandile broke free. Now all these other Sandile, which looks like it's about 100 of them at this point, are walking up right behind this Sandile that's holding Pikachu and Oshawott, who finally lets go of them.
And Pikachu and Oshawott turn around, and we see a bunch of random wild Pokemon. We got some Deerling, we got some Pidovs, yes, and we have some
Pat Rats.
That's it. I knew they had a cool name. Yeah.
Yes.
And the leader Sandile gets up on a higher rock, kind of basically like this is the podium, and you could see that he's given directions to all the Pokemon within earshot. And
they need to get the fuck out of here.
yes. And basically, as he finishes his thought, we get an eruption out of one of the geysers.
Yeah, geysers. And these geysers are shooting up steaming hot water. So, and we come to the conclusion at this point that Sandile knew about all of these geysers that were getting ready to form on these rocks. So they were trying to keep people away from these geysers. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, Sandile was trying to help all of them, but was he really? Because, I mean, this hot water, I mean, unless this hot water was going to reach all the way down by where the springs are, everybody down below would have been perfectly fine, unless they were just trying to get the Pokemon out of the way and they needed help getting them out of the way. I have no idea, Doug.
Yeah, I don't understand the reasoning for grabbing Oshawott and Pikachu. Because obviously they had the leader. Like, it's not like they needed a bigger spokesman for the group, hence Pikachu, because obviously the Sunglasses Sandile had that covered.
Exactly.
So that's a head scratcher.
So it's at this point that we see the geysers start breaking away a lot of the rocks, and then the geyser is actually forming a big river of water just spewing down this mountain area. But it's at this time that all the other random Pokemon, the Deerling, the Patrat, the Pidove, that they're all just walking away from all these geysers. They're not running, they're walking. And then out of nowhere, all these geysers end up entrapping these wild Pokemon in one big circle. And now these random Pokemon are stuck with steaming hot water all around them. Because
I mean, you basically laid it out. So it's basically like the wild Pokemon are on this basically loose piece of rock with no dry land to move to. Like, they're completely marooned on this piece of rock.
Yes.
Now, I don't understand why the Pidove are there.
I don't need, especially in a second, and we're gonna get there. I made a good note on my computer as to why the fuck are these Pidoves scared? They can fly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the Patrat and the Deerling, yes, but these Pidove, other than we just like being part of a group. I mean, we just because we can leave doesn't mean we should. Just because we can.
So now that all these Pokemon are trapped with steaming hot water all around them, Pikachu tries to run over to go and try to save them, but gets tackled by Oshawott because Oshawott's saying, "You can't go in there. You will be a fried mouse." So Ash is like, "Well, I'm going to go in there and save them." Because, I mean, I guess Oshawott has more sense than Ash does. And Ash takes one step into this steaming hot water and gets like 4th degree burns all over his leg. And he flies back. And he's like, "Oh, that hurt."
And I'm sitting there going, we're all sitting there going, no shit.
So it's at this point where the Sandile start grabbing onto each other's tails and making a ladder. And they make a ladder to go over to the wild Pokemon, and the Pokemon don't want to cross.
Because they're scared.
Yes.
Which is a fair point.
Well, I don't give a fuck. I'm either going to die on that rock or I'm going to die trying to cross it. I'm going to try to cross.
Well, yeah, but you also have the benefit of hindsight. These wild Pokemon don't know. They don't know trust. They don't have trainers. They're just trying to live their lives.
Ash is sitting there trying to save them. Sandile specifically told him, "Yo, get out of here. You're going to get burned. This is going to hurt." Like, if they didn't gain trust by that, these are just some dumb Pokemon. These are some dumb wild Pokemon that are stuck on this rock. Like, I would not want to capture any of these Pokemon. Y'all can go and be in a beauty contest or something. I'm not capturing you guys.
Lack of survival skills.
For real. I mean, at least when Ash's freaking Charmander was with them back when they were with the whole ice situation, Charmander uses its tail as heat. And then freaking Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Pikachu would come over and they would hug up against Ash to keep him warm. These Pokemon would seriously be looking at me like a deer with headlights. Get it? And not know what to fucking do.
Well, they're also wild.
I don't care. You know how many Pokemon in these episodes we've seen that are wild, that have more sense than these? I mean, these Sandile have more sense. Oshawott has more sense than Pikachu, apparently, and Ash.
Well, and I mean, and to your point earlier, the Pidovs just fly across the other side like none of this matters. So
which is why I said they can go and be in a beauty contest, because I don't want to be a part. Like, I don't get this. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be so down on this episode. This episode's hilarious. It's just when you're putting pieces together, it's a kid's show.
So Pikachu starts to cross, and the ground starts giving way. So Ash has to grab the last Sandile and hold tight as Deerling and Pikachu cross, and you can see that the leader Sandile is kind of getting a little tense because he's got like a little bead of sweat, and you can see that his grip's moving a little bit. Because, yes. I mean, at some point, something's got to give.
I mean, and I felt bad for that Sandile. This Sandile's holding all the weights of all these other Sandile, the one that's in the front, and Ash.
Well, but if Ash wasn't holding the back Sandile, they'd all be in the water, and it wouldn't matter.
True. But we get a shot of a geyser as Ash is trying to get back across and not knowing how he's going to get across. This geyser is coming up, and it's a huge one, people. And it's getting ready to come down and just burn the mess out of Ash. And if it doesn't burn him, this thing is going to kill this little boy.
Yeah, it's going to scold him for sure. And Oshawott jumps up and hits, and you alluded to this earlier, what I'm assuming has to have been an ice attack, because the water completely evaporates.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to point out. Like, I'm looking at this move, and the water that water's too hot for a regular water gun in my eyes.
Well, it's a natural geyser. Yes.
Yes. So Oshawott is up in the air, and after it does its attack, starts falling, and then he's about to fall into the scalding hot water that's surrounding everybody. And Ash has enough withdrawal in his head, like he's like, oh shit, I'm about to lose Oshawott, and he finally calls him back into its Pokeball. Fast thinking. I don't know if I would have thought that quick, Doug.
No, and especially considering he's also holding the weight of handful of Sandiles in his under his other arm.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny, you look at some of these episodes and he can barely talk and eat at the same time.
But when it comes to saving people, I mean, that's just second nature to him.
But then, of course, just as we say that, the Sandile completely slip out of Ash's grasp, and those back Sandile are about to be Sandile soup. But just at the last split second, a hand grabs Ash, and I'm guessing saves him from falling in,
Yes.
even though he was completely sturdy on the ground.
It didn't stop him. It stopped the Sandile from flinging back over and becoming Sandile soup, as you said. But it also saved Ash from falling forward because he had a grip on that Sandile. So the Sandile basically was like pulling him forward because he was losing the grip.
Well, anyway, it ends up being Iris making the save, and then the leader Sandile does this up and over maneuver with the entire chain of Sandile, Iris, and Ash. It's like this. It ends up being a tower of Sandile that's at least, I don't know, fucking 30 of them, maybe.
Yeah.
And
so they were way up there in the air, and it was at that point that all the weight of all of the Sandile plus Iris plus Ash was too much, and the bottom leader Sandile lost grip.
No, everybody. They didn't lose. This is an orderly disengage. Watch it again.
Oh, okay.
They were like, hup, hup, and they were stupid because they let go on rock.
Exactly. But they all go crashing down to the bottom. Ash and Iris look like they're knocked out. The leader Sandile sitting there laughing. And then we fade out and we go back to the hot springs, and it looks like water's back over here, and they're taking a nice little spring bath. Oshawott, Pikachu, Axu, Iris, and Ash.
And and Iris makes a comment of, this is definitely getting a 5-star review, and everybody looks happy, and fucking Oshawott's completely knocked out. Like his eyes aren't even open.
Yeah, he's knocked out, just sleeping.
And then we get the narration, and we fade out to the jungle, and then we get a parting shot of the smiling sunglasses Sandile.
That's going to be Ash's Sandile at some point, isn't it?
I mean, one would think.
So, I mean, it kind of has to be. But yes,
that would be another check in the box of Pokemon Ash didn't actually earn, much like this Oshawott.
Hey, don't be hating on him.
I will, because this is the 14th season.
Yes, and he's still getting Pokemon the same way.
Yeah, so I will.
But all right, so Doug, what would you give this episode for our fine listeners?
It wasn't a bad episode. I mean, 3.
I think 3 is fair.
Maybe a little more action. Maybe would have gotten a 4, but
there was a lot going on in this episode. But when you break it down, as we were saying during the review, some things just didn't make sense.
Kind of all over the place.
A little bit, but good episode overall. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3 as well. So there we go, Doug. You know what time it is? It's pack opening time, my man.
Oh, you're not even going to let me do it anymore.
You were going to say it's 11:05.
I was, but I'm not going to do it now. The moment.
All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and open this pack. We've already been recording for long enough, and we still got one more to do. All right. So I got the code, which I can give out at a later time. Take the top 4 cards, put them at the bottom. Doug, what energy am I about to look at?
I'm going to say fire.
Oh, not this week. This week was a fighting energy.
Fighting.
Yes.
It was either going to be fire or water, and we already had water, so.
So I got a fighting energy, a Flannery trainer card, an Old Cemetery, a Steenie, a Shuppet, a Cubfu, a Blitzel, a Quailfish, a Slowpoke. The reverse hollow is an Ampharos. So that's a nice one. Get the fuck out of here. All right. I got a V Max Metagross. That's a fucking nice ass card. I do got the nicer version upstairs, but this one's still fucking nice. I knew this pack was heavy. I knew I was gonna get something nice in this thing. But all right.
What is an old cemetery? Is that like a battleground kind of thing?
It's a trainer card. It says on here, whenever any trainer attaches an energy from their hand to one of their non-psychic Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon.
Gotcha.
So it looks like it's a card that you should use on your let's see. Oh, it says any player. Oh, so you can use this card, and if your opponent has no psychic Pokemon, you're basically giving them 20 energy for every time that they attach an energy to their Pokemon. All right. That's not a bad card. Yeah. So that's not a bad card. So that is this week's pull. Again, if you want to see these cards, go ahead and follow us at Every Pokemon Episode on Instagram, at PokeBreakdown on Twitter. I tweet every single week, and sometimes I tweet more than once, everybody. But that way you can follow all of our episodes. You can also, if you want to hear next week's episode already, and you're listening to this on the free feed, go ahead and follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/everypokemon. And for only $5 a month, you will get next week's episode, and you will be a week ahead of everybody else here on the free feed. So, Doug, do you have anything else to say?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, with that being said, then say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, don't miss next week's episode because it has Kabig in it. Have a good night, everybody.